Yeah, so we have a wonderful, Katelyn Silva to kick us off
Oh,
today. Oh my God, you're in for a treat. There she is. There she is. Hi, Katelyn. How are you? So
hi.
let me introduce Katelyn before we bring Katelyn in to talk to you guys. She is a five-time best-selling author. She is the founder of We Write Books, and she is an educational speaker, and she is the host of 1 Minute Writing Tip podcast. And I checked that out today, Katelyn. It's absolutely amazing. The topic that Katelyn is going to be talking to us today about is the hidden pot of gold in your busy day. Very intriguing. Let me tell you something about Katelyn that you probably don't know. She was a competitive, she was in a competitive marching band, and she played the trumpet. So you probably have a good set of lungs. And also, let me tell you what Katelyn has to give away today. So for one very lucky winner, and you have to listen to win. So she is going to give you a mini coaching session, how to be a best seller. Okay, so that's for one person. So you got to listen in to win that one. And for everybody, she has become a time master bookseller. So that's going to be for everybody in the audience. So, let me tell you about her music as well. Phil Wilkman. That's her favorite music at the moment. So Phil Wilkman. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear what music people are into. So Katelyn, I am going to give the stage over to you. Take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Joanne, for that introduction. And I just want to start by saying a huge thank you to Deb for, hosting this event and saying yes and stepping into that mission because we wouldn't be here without it. So huge shout out to Deb and her team. So I want to definitely engage you guys in the chat today by, asking questions. So please do respond and let me know. I want to hear from you in the chat. And I just want to start out by asking, who feels like they want to get more done without cramming more into their schedule? Give me some answers in the chat, right? Or some hands waved or something, right? Who feels like if they just had a little bit more time, they would be able to accomplish more? But disclaimer, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So how does that work, right? And finally, I want to ask you, if you were able to have the tools to accomplish your goals with lower stress levels, what would you accomplish? Now, that's obviously not as much of a chat answering question, but just something to kind of think about as we go through. So I want to give you three main things that you can really take and implement from this training, from this talk. And I really want you to encourage you to think about the ways that you can start putting that in practice in your daily life. They're very simple, but they're very effective. So they're also going to be a little bit counterintuitive. And so I want to start before I just jump into tips and share a little bit more about how this developed for me and why I'm sharing this with you today. Is that okay with you guys? I hope so. So I'm just going to let you know that a lot of times when you're looking to a speaker or you're looking at somebody else or a best-selling author or whatever it is, it's really easy to think, oh, well, that person can do it, but I can't. Has anybody felt that way? I know that's definitely been me. So I want to take you guys back to when this all started for me. And I was working in restaurant management and I had full-time college classes and I was, I had little babies at home and there was just a lot going on. And I had one of those days where I got off of work and I went to pick up my son from school. And he had one of those amazing little kid events where they're singing and dancing and it was so cute. And I had to miss it because of work. So when I got to school to pick him up, he looked up at me with tears in his eyes and he said, "Mama, where were you?" I looked around and I saw all my friends and I couldn't find you. And in that moment, my heart was broken. And I just thought, what am I even doing with my life, right? What if I look back in 20 years and I regret that I wasn't more present? I wasn't more of the mom that I wanted to be, right? And I really had this kind of crisis moment that reshaped my intentions, my priorities, my goals, all those different things. And so, of course, there had been lots of goals that I'd had, but they kept getting put on the back burner because of just real life, you know, paying bills and working and all the things that we all have to do, right? I mean, we women work and we still are moms and we're still wives and we're still whatever we are. And we have to fit everything together like a big jigsaw puzzle, right? And so as I started pursuing these things and shifting my priorities, I really had to take a step back and start thinking about the way that I was approaching my time, because my time became something very precious all of a sudden. And so maybe you all can relate to that as well in your own life, where you feel like, oh, I have these big goals, but they're always getting pushed on the back burner because of X, Y, and Z and all the other things, right? So that was the moment when, as I shifted and I started doing things a little differently, I started looking at my time differently, I started accomplishing these goals, right? I published my first book within a year after that point, and that really dove me headlong into that whole industry of figuring out bestsellers and all the fun things. But through that process, people started asking me, how do you do this? How are you pursuing your goals and accomplishing these books and doing all these different things while you're working and being a mom and, you know, what's going on? And I thought, well, instead of repeating myself a million times, I'm just going to write a book, right? But that's where it came to these tips that I'm sharing with you guys today. So number one, and probably the most counterintuitive, is that you actually have to start from a place of rest. Because here's the thing, when you're striving and you're going and going and going and going, eventually you're going to hit burnout. Your brain's going to be fried, you're not going to be rested, and you're not going to be thinking clearly. And then you're just trying to get things done, but you're not actually getting the most effective things done. You're getting things that feel like you're just trying to get them off your plate, right? And again, let me know if this is resonating with you in the chat. As I say things, put fire emojis or raise your hand. As I'm saying things and it resonates with you, share with me in the chat about that. And so when you're starting from, when you feel like you're just constantly striving, you're in the hamster wheel and your plate is so full and you keep adding more to your plate, you're thinking, how am I supposed to get all this done with the same 24 hours in the day, right? And so as difficult and as counterintuitive as it might seem, you actually do have to start from a place of rest. You have to give yourself a minute to step back mentally and emotionally and even physically and just breathe, right? Look around. Really look at where is your time going and what are the things that really matter to you and what are those things that you are spending all of your time on that maybe you're not really moving the needle forward. Excuse me as I trip over my words. So as you're going through this process and you're thinking about what is that pot of gold in my day, right? And I'm going to lead you to that here in just a second. When you're in that place of rest and your mind, it can refresh and reset and you can see things clearly. That will help you to identify what those little areas are that you can shape differently. And I'm going to step into that a little bit deeper. So I'll give you guys an example of this. I am someone who is, all about faith and, starting with God first and things like that. And there's an example of that in the Bible, actually, where there's two sisters and one is just busy, doing all the different things. And her sister is actually just resting at Jesus's feet and listening to his instructions. And her sister gets upset and she's like, Lord, why is my sister just sitting there not doing anything to help me? And Jesus says, well, she's chosen the greater thing first. And he wasn't saying that she shouldn't do things to help and be productive. He was just saying she had her priorities out of whack, right? So we start from a place of rest. We get that clarity. We see what is that thing I really need to focus on and start with? And how can I shape my day and my tasks and my time based on that? Okay, so once you've started from that place of rest, you've given yourself that reset, you've given yourself an opportunity to just breathe for a minute. Then you need to get honest. Okay, so that's number 2, get honest. Okay, how many times are you actually honest with yourself about where your time is going every single day? And really looking at it in a almost nitty-gritty kind of sense. How much time are you scrolling through social media and all of a sudden it's been like half an hour and you're like, oh, I forgot what I was supposed to be doing on social media, right? And then you're having to backtrack and go find what you had to do. Guys, I do that all the time, okay? So you're not alone, but be honest. How much time are you losing just getting distracted or just not paying attention to what you're doing, right? Or, and hey, guys, I get it. There's like amazing shows on Netflix sometimes, and you just want to binge watch the whole thing because it's so good. Am I right? But how many times are you wasting like hours on that, or even staying up till like 2 in the morning when you have to get up at 6, and then you're like, oh, I'm so tired, and you can't get anything done for the day because your brain is not with it, right? Get honest, okay? Look at where your time is really going. And that is exactly where you're going to find the pots of gold in your day. That no matter how busy you are or how much time you think you don't have, I guarantee you actually have little pockets of opportunities throughout your day that you're just missing out on because you're not using them as effectively as you could. And again, I don't want you to feel like you're cramming too much into your day and just cramming more and more, but it's just about getting honest and being more intentional. Okay, so that's going to lead me to the next point, which is it's really important to get intentional with your priorities. Okay, a lot of people say, oh yeah, just shift your priorities, or just focus on different priorities and then focus on the next one. And that'd be great. But if you're not taking the time, and again, that's why you start with rest. If you're not taking the time to be intentional with your priorities and really think about which ones are going to take me the most amount of time, which ones are the ones that I can start implementing one step at a time over a longer period to accomplish that goal. So I'll give you guys an example. And guys, I'm a book person, so I'm going to use books as my example all throughout. But you apply this to other things too, like whether it be, a new diet or trying to accomplish a big project, or, teaching your kids something, whatever it is, apply it to that. But as you think about your intentional priorities, if I'm wanting to write a book, a lot of people have this misconception that you have to go away for a weekend and sit down for like 2 whole days, eat and like hours and hours each day and just pump it out and voila, there it is, right? And that is such a huge myth, because the reality is that, guys, okay, let me just say this. I am a homeschooling mom of 4 children with a business, and I'm a homemaker, and I have all kinds of things going on all the time, and I'm still able to write and publish my books. How do I do that? Because I approach it with intentional priorities. I don't sit down and write the whole thing in a few hours in a weekend. I do it in little pieces over a longer period of time. So maybe that's looking at my day and starting from a place of rest, right? Getting really honest. Where are my opportunities? Where are my little pots of gold in my busy day? When can I sit down when the baby's napping, or after the kids go to bed, or maybe first thing in the morning before they get up, right? Or during a lunch break, or TMI a little bit, but if I'm in the bathroom and I'm typing on my phone, right? So, you find those little opportunities and then you take advantage of them, as opposed to letting your time just be wasted by scrolling on social media or losing it to something else. Intentional and say, no, this book is a priority. So I'm going to devote that 15 minutes or that 30 minutes or whatever it is in my little pockets of time. And over the course of, say, 30 days, 60 days, I've written the whole thing. And then I get to move on to the next step, which is, publishing and whatever. So I hope you guys can see how doing a little bit of counterintuitive, starting from a place of rest, can be so helpful, because then it leads you to really evaluate your time and get honest with where your time is going and start shifting those priorities in a way that's more intentional to get those bigger goals done without cramming more into your day, because you're really just looking at, oh, wow, I can actually use this little bit of time that I have, that I'm not filling it up. I'm just using it more intentionally, more effectively for that goal, right? And guys, I want you guys to ask questions. If you have questions or anything's not clear, please put that in the chat as well. I do want to hear from you guys. So I do see a couple of people put in the chat, Netflix's biggest competition is sleep. I think you're probably right on that note. But yeah, I totally feel you guys on binging. Sometimes you just can't help yourself, right? So putting a timer down for yourself on shows too. It's like, oh, my timer's off. Okay. But yeah, so as you guys are starting to implement this, the next thing to think about is, really understanding the importance, and this is just a little bonus tip, because I already gave 3. The little bonus tip for you: give yourself plenty of grace. I think so many times as women, we are ambitious, and we have big dreams, and we want to do all the things, and we're nurturers, and we're multitaskers, and we have so much that we put on our own shoulders. And then we pressure ourselves. And again, guys, raise your hand if you struggle with this. But I feel like we pressure ourselves to accomplish all these goals we've made for ourselves, and then we get down on ourselves when we're not accomplishing those goals in the time that we want to, right? And it's kind of like a negative self spiral, right? And so I want to encourage you to, just as a bonus tip, give yourself some grace, okay? You do not have to do it all in a day, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So it's important to take a step back, give yourself plenty of grace, and say, you know what, I did everything I could for today, and tomorrow is a new day. You know, scriptures also say that mercies are new every morning, and they are. And so every day is a new opportunity to start and just look at your day and be intentional and think about, what do I really want to accomplish today, right? What are those things that I really want to say, today was well done if I get these, you know, 1, 2, 3 things. And that's it, you know, and the rest of the day, hey, give yourself some grace. Okay, that's my bonus tip. So that's really all I have for you guys on this talk about the tips. I hope that you guys find that really helpful and insightful. These are things that you can implement immediately. And I really want you guys to start taking those steps and see how that shifts your time and the difference it makes in your day. And as Deb mentioned, I have that freebie, that's the ebook for you guys, and that will help you to go deeper and start really implementing the steps that I've given you and get some additional tips as well to help you master your time, find those pots of gold in your day, and start accomplishing those big goals without cramming more into your schedule.
Woo! All right. Amazing, amazing. Let's show some Zoom love. Show some Zoom love. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh my gosh, that was so good. So good. Thank you so much, Katelyn.